Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply. Your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay. So just give me 5 minutes. Let me rush and go to my room and then go set up another phone. No problem.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply. Your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Hello. Welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Today is September 24th. We have some really interesting guests that we'll be talking to today. Two of them actually from Ghana. And the topics are the leaked Ghana Law School entrance examination papers. We'll be addressing that with a professor of law from GIMPA. And also we are talking to another gentleman from Ghana today who would be addressing the issue of the hung parliament. He has conducted a survey with Afrobarometer. He works with Afrobarometer, but I think he himself is a senior program officer at CDD-Ghana, Center for Democratic. I think he will explain all that when he gets on the show. But we're talking to these two individuals or these two gentlemen from Ghana, but also we'll be joined by my regular panelists. I'm talking here about Afar Mayo, the Kojo DCs, Paul Isosus, and Lifetime Legacy. And it would also help me to digest what we would have heard from our guest from Ghana today. So if this is the first time you're watching the show, this is Ghana Agenda. It's a political show that discusses issues relating to Ghana. And we are here every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. GMT. We'll be right back to see how my guests are doing in the studio, and I'll bring them up so that we can start the conversation. Please share the link so that others can join and partake in this very important conversation. We will be right
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show again. My name is Afred Muzu, and you're on the Ghana agenda. Today, it's a very, very important day for us to actually take a look at some of the issues cropping up in Ghana. This is 3 days after the birthday of Kwame Nkrumah. We used to call that the Founders Day, but of course, you know what happened. The name is now changed. But I have a guest, very important one, with me today to discuss the Ghana Law School and issues that come up. I mean, they keep coming up every year. Every year, the admission process, people are trying to get into Ghana school. It's either they took the exam for the school, they pass, and they are not called to the school because other people go through the back door. There's just so much that goes on with them every year. But I do have my friend, my very good friend. I think he's saying he cannot hear me. I'm not hearing the sound chip. Okay, Derek. So he just stepped back out of the studio. He's gonna be back. Okay. All right. So basically, we want to talk about that, and I have a professor from one of the universities in Ghana called GIMPA. He teaches law in the business school, and he will be helping me digest what the issues are. Why do we even need this exam to start with? Sometimes. For instance, in the United States, you take the LSAT, which is the law school admission test, before you get into the law school. But this is not after you've already taken a law program. But Ghana, it's just a little different. You actually have to go take a LLB, which is a bachelor's degree, I suppose, in law. Then you come to take an entrance exam into Ghana Law School, which is the only school that is actually qualifying people to become lawyers in Ghana. But in the United States, for instance, you don't really need to go through law school to start with. You just need a bachelor's from anything. It could be engineering, it could be biology, it could be whatever. But then you administer the law as a to law school. So we would interrogate these issues and figure out what exactly is going on. Welcome to the show, Mr. Derek. How are you doing today? Can you hear me now? Derek, can you hear me now? It might be with your... Okay. I don't think Derek can hear me. Derek, check to see if your computer's... I'll give him a call real quick. So let's take a quick commercial break.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. Okay. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. Derek, can you hear me now? Derek, can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me? If you cannot hear my sound, can you please just give me a signal to notify me that I'm having a sound problem? Because I don't think my guest is able to hear me. Yeah, he said he can hear me. It's strange. Let me see. What else can I do to make sure my microphone works? Can anybody else hear me? If you guys cannot hear me, Derek, can you hear me? Derek. No, Derek cannot hear me. All right. So basically, we have Derek, who's Derek Ohima Mensa, who's a law professor. He's helping us discuss the issues today, but he cannot hear me. So please bear with me. I'm having some little technical difficulties. He will be helping me navigate the law at school admission issues. We heard that a paper leaked, and I brought him so he can help me digest the issues, but I don't think he can hear me. So let me see what I can do about that. We'll be right back.
You can hear me now.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, I'm back to the show. We're having a whole lot of difficulties from sound all the way. Derek, can you hear me now?
I can hear you from the phone, not directly from my device, from my laptop.
Okay, let me try again. So I'm speaking again. Can you hear me now without using the phone? No. Okay, Mousy is here as well. Let me get Mousy on.
The sound is gone now. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, welcome to the show, Mousy. Mousy, can you hear me?
Yes, Ambuja, I can hear you.
Okay, so Mousy can hear me.
Just pardon me for popping in very late.
No problem at all. Mousy can hear me. So Derek, so Mousy can hear me. So it has to be something with your computer. Check to see if your mic is connected, reboot, and then maybe join the show again.
Okay.
All right. So let me start with you, Mousy, and then we'll wait for Derek to join. So Derek, we'll catch up with you. Mousy, welcome to the show. Again, this is It's a political show. We discuss issues, happening in Ghana. And I happened to chance upon you because I was actually trying to get Felix Benga to come, but Felix couldn't come. Now, what I need you to help me with is going to be about the survey that was conducted by, I think, CDD in collaboration with Afrobarometer about the hung parliament and whether it's beneficial to Ghanaians or what Ghanaians think about it. But Derek, Mausi Dumenu, did I get the name correctly?
It's Dumenu.
Mausi Dumenu.
Yes.
Before we get into all the juicy conversations, I know you are a senior program officer at CDD-Ghana. You just actually stepped out of a meeting to quickly speak to me. But Mausi, tell us about yourself briefly for those who are watching for the first time and are not familiar with you. Who is Mausi Dumenu? I know you went to University of Cape Coast, which is the same school I went to, but I think there's more there that I want to get to know as well. So talk to me about Mausi. Who's Mausi? Oh, I think you are frozen a little bit. Mausi's internet is, of course, it's Ghana, so the network is not the best. But we'll wait for Mausi's to unfreeze so we can continue the conversations. But essentially, CDD-Ghana, if you know them, they are the Center for Democracy. It's what we call here a non-profit organization, but they are more a CSO, which is a civic society, and they help do all kinds of researches to support, governance in Ghana. And so I'm waiting for his internet. Internet in Ghana is not the best, but they have conducted a survey, a very important survey, and some of the things they actually found are very interesting. You would think that as we have a hung parliament, that there should be benefits accruing because, of course, it helps us actually interrogate all the issues very well before legislations are passed or when the legislations are passed, whatever. Like we even realize that, especially when we're talking about something like e-levy, we have all these CSOs, Imani, etc., doing research and informing us of our choices. So they have a very important role to play in our democratic dispensation. And this time around, CDD, in collaboration with Afrobarometer, took a look at the hung parliament that we currently have. When I say hung parliament, we are talking about where the NDC has about 133, the MPP has about 134. So it becomes a little gimmick, especially when somebody is sick. That is when they introduce some legislations. You know what has happened over the years since 2021. So Mausi and his team actually took a look at that. And I don't want to preempt his findings, but I have Mausi here himself who's going to tell us all about it. So Mausi, tell us about yourself quickly, just so we can get to know you better. And I want you to, after that, answer a few questions for me. So who is Mausi Dumenu? Talk to me.
It's all right. Alfred, thank you very much. Before that, let me apologize to your viewers. I'm having very terrible internet connections. I'm currently not in Accra at the moment, and so the internet connection can be a bit bad. Okay, so Mausi Dumenu is a professional. He's a team lead for elections at CDD-Ghana and a senior programs officer. And I have been working around some research around electoral issues as well, and I do a lot of program stuff for CDD-Ghana. That cuts across security sector governance as well. And so Mausi Dumenu contributed in the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers election program for 2016 and then 2020 elections. And so I can quite see that now a bit of my forte is beginning to strengthen around it. All right. So briefly, that's about me.
So Mausi, you are really a big man. That's from the what we will call a big man, right? From that standpoint.
Oh well, I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way.
Well, to be honest, I'm really excited to have you. And I know what you're doing in support of our democracy, and the researches you do, the studies, the things you look at are contributing very positively to us who are not in that field, especially those of us in the United States who watches or follow Ghana politics. We really appreciate every single effort that you put into help us. So we are grateful to have you here today to discuss with us your recent study of the parliament. So Mausi, let me ask. I also have with me Kakape, who is a communications director for MPP in the United States. He might have a question or two for you. He's joined us at this moment. Kakape, welcome to the show. All right. So Mausi, let's start. No problem. Thank you. So let's start the conversation.
How you doing?
Mausi. Pretty good. I have Mausi here with us today, who's all the way from Ghana joining. He's a senior program officer at CDD-Ghana, and we are blessed to have him. So if you have any questions, hold it, and then I'll run my questions first, and then you can jump in and also, ask him a thing or two about what his study is about. So Mausi, let me start. What was the purpose? What actually triggered this whole research that you just conducted? And the research I'm talking about is you went and looked at whether or how people felt about the hung parliament. What I mean hung parliament is parliament being divided between the two parties. This is not something we've had before since independence. First time we actually experiencing this. What was the trigger? What motivated this survey?
Okay, Alfred, thank you very much. I think it will be good, just before I come to the motivation for the survey, it will be good to give our viewers a brief background about how Afrobarometer goes about its work. And then I'll just come into how the issue about hung parliament just came in. So Afrobarometer is a Pan-African research organization that is interested in making the opinions of citizens of all the African countries or the countries where we operate matter. And so by so doing, the tagline for Afrobarometer is what let the people have a say. And by letting the people have a say, it means that we collect public attitude survey or survey information from citizens from the countries where Afrobarometer operates. I think currently it's about 38 African countries. And that the findings feed into public discourse, because obviously if a citizens cannot get opportunity to go straight to the president and talk to him, probably the best shot that they have will be their local councillors and to some extent their members of parliament. And so the best way, and all citizens cannot meet all these people, so the best way to channel the concerns or the voices of the people is through a survey that gives a good sense of what citizens are thinking or perceiving of on specific issues at a particular point in time. And so for Afrobarometer, Afrobarometer started operations in 1999. And so between that period and then now, 9 different rounds of surveys have been conducted over this period. And gradually, when we started, the countries were not as many as it is now, but over time, we've been able to build it up to, I think, about 38 countries as of now. And so it's been a journey thus far with this survey. And so over these 9 rounds, we have several questions that we've asked on several issues. I mean, and so it's given us a good sense of a trend over a period of time on certain questions, because there are certain questions that are it cuts across for all countries, and so we ask it across board for all countries. And so those questions are, over time, we've been able to build a trend on what citizens are thinking of on specific issues at any point in time. And so that has been very good, and I believe that helps to feed into the public discourse. And so when you look at it critically, we have this round 9 survey that we did for Ghana. Okay, so I think some countries would have theirs. I'm sure some will have theirs before the year ends, or others will probably move into 2022 or so for theirs. But for Ghana, we had our survey in the year in April of this year, somewhere in April of this year, and the performance, the Afrobarometer has several questions over maybe about 100 questions or even more. Questions that looks at issues around the economy, citizens' well-being, or their perceptions about their own well-being. It also looks at their attitude towards democratic institutions, elected representatives, governance, issues around corruption, and looks about several issues in there. So the questions are very, very bulky, And so just to come to the issue, so we didn't specifically go out there to, look at just hang parliament. No. So what Afrobarometer does is that we have certain standard questions that cuts across all the what do you call it? All the countries. And so those questions are there are standard questions that you find in practically all the countries that will be fielding Afrobarometer questions for that particular round. But then within each country, you know that we have several African countries, almost about 58 or so, which have their own peculiarities, their own complexities around issues and all that, and emerging issues that occur. And so Afrobarometer leaves room for a number of questions that we call the country-specific questions. And so the country-specific questions is what gives maybe our national pattern. So CDD-Ghana is more like a national pattern for Afrobarometer that conducts the survey in Ghana on behalf of Afrobarometer. And so for CDD, we look at the contextual issues that are happening within the country, and then that had garnered a lot of maybe public discourse. And then we try to then coin questions around it to feed into the public discourse. And so one key issue that we have at the time was the issue about the hang parliament. I mean, from the 2020 elections, how things turned out. Now NDC, which is the opposition party, has 137 out of the 275 seats. MPP, which is the current government, they dropped votes. The ruling party, they dropped votes, and then now they have 137. What do you call it? 137
parliamentarian seats, correct.
But then there's one independent candidate who broke away from the MPP to form to go out to contest as an independent. So he has chosen to do business with the MPP, and so the MPP hangs on loosely with him as an addition, and so that makes it roughly 138 for MPP as against, or maybe the majority in parliament. It makes it 138 as against NDC's or the positions 137, and so that had, it was a marvel for us, and like, oh, this is something that we've never experienced within our parliament, because each and every time we have a majoritarian sort of outcome where whoever wins the presidential almost absolutely wins the majority in parliament, and so they have the absolute power to do whatever they like without regards to what citizens are thinking. And so we thought that, okay, now this hang parliament is interesting, because there were a lot of expectations for this hang parliament, including myself. I had a lot of expectations that I was expecting this hang parliament to be able to deliver for Ghanaians. And so, so there was a lot of talk on radio here and there, even within our civil society space and all that, because we felt that this hang parliament is well positioned to be able to help push a lot of accountability, help be able to push our democratic processes a bit forward. And so we decided to then, aside all the anecdotal conversations and anecdotal evidence that we have, why don't we then introduce some specific questions around the hang parliament in the Afrobarometer survey that we're fielding for round 9 in 2022, just to give us empirical information about what citizens are thinking in terms of how they expect parliament to function. And so that explains why we were able to have some questions around the hang parliament. So there was another topical issue, for instance, the e-levy. So we had questions around the e-levy as well, just to give us some empirical information on what do you call it, on what citizens' attitude are towards these concepts, or these concepts that are a bit novel to us. And so that is how come we've come this far.
Oh wow, that's wonderful, and I'm glad that there's an institution actually pursuing this, because sometimes policymakers get to forget that There are people who are actually going through the ramifications of the policies that they push out there. So wonderful, wonderful so far. So let me ask, what are the findings? What are the main findings? What did you find in your survey? Yes.
Okay, so very interesting. So we actually spoke to 2,400 Ghanaians across the length and breadth of this country. That within the regions of this country as well. And so the population proportions,
yes,
all the regions. So we actually sampled respondents from each of the regions, and so the population proportion for our sample mirrors closely with the national population. I mean, based on the recent 2021 survey, survey, the census results that we have for our population, and so there's that kind of mirroring in there. And then we used a randomization approach to even select the various enumeration areas. That is the specific places where we take our data from. And we also used a random approach in selecting the respondents from each of the households that we spoke to within the enumeration areas. And so we use very stringent scientific processes to be able to do that, to arrive at the results that we have. And so for our results that we have, there's a 95% confidence that if anybody is to probably use our questionnaire and the same processes that we use, it's likely that at a 95% chance that they will arrive at practically the same results that we have. And so we say we have a 95% confidence, 95%, 95% confidence that we used. Okay, and so that is within a context within which we had this survey. So now let me quickly touch on a key part of the findings. Okay, so first of all, almost about half of Ghanaians. So we actually spoke to adult population. So we're looking at 18 persons who are 18% plus and over, were the people that we spoke to, because they are the adult population, and we believe that they are not children, and so we don't need to go and then take consent from anybody to speak to. So yeah, those are the people that we spoke to, and so the sample of 2,400 that we used, it gives us the confidence to say that because of the stringent scientific processes that we went through to sample, it gives us the confidence to say that these people that we use represent Ghanaians in terms of the people that we speak to. They represent Ghanaians. And so you hear me at some point saying that Ghanaians. And so it represents because of the sample that we use. Okay. So now in terms of the key findings, almost half, or 46% of Ghanaians think that the composition of the or the hang parliament that we have now, this is our eighth parliament, has made MPs somewhat or much more effective in scrutinizing government spending. But when you look at it critically,
let's back up on that. So you are saying that majority of the people you spoke to has said that they believe that the split in parliament is positive because it has made MPs effective. Is that
so I wouldn't say it's a majority. Okay, because it's 46%. So that is less than half of Ghanaians or half of the respondents that we spoke to. So it's less than half. So it's not like an absolute majority or anything. Okay, so that means that 46% are saying that they believe that somewhat or much more the hang parliament has made parliament or MPs effective at scrutinizing the government in terms of their expenditures and in terms of keeping government accountable. And so yes, in addition to that, on the other side, there's only fewer people that also think that MPs have been more effective at passing laws. So that's just about 39% that are saying this, or are more likely to cooperate and then build consensus with members of the other political parties. So that is also another 39%. And so when you take almost maybe 4 out of 10 Ghanaians, they are saying that they are giving these views about the effectiveness of parliament in passing laws and about members of parliament, cooperating and building consensus on issues.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Can I proceed?
Yeah, proceed,
Okay,
please.
so in terms of the other, in terms of the other questions that we asked around this hang parliament, large majorities endorse the role of MPs in a democratic system. And let me break it down, okay, in terms of the specific responses that came with it. Okay, so more than 8 in 10, that is 82%, say Parliament should monitor how government spends taxpayers' money.
Okay.
And 3/4, that is 75%, say MPs should make laws for the country, even if the president does not agree.
Right.
So 75% are saying this.
Right.
Okay, so let's bear that in mind. The third major finding around this also has to do with Ghanaians who are sort of, divided on who is responsible for ensuring that MPs do their jobs. 38% say it is the president who should ensure that MPs do their job, while 35% say it's the voters that should do the voters that should ensure that MPs do their job. Okay, but this is contentious. We need to really interrogate this issue very well, because it's actually citizens that are actually supposed to put MPs on their toes to work.
Right.
And so citizens need to realize the role that they have in terms of when it comes to the role of MPs to get them to work.
So you think there's a little bit of gap between what the citizens should actually be doing and what they think they should be doing, and perhaps maybe
yes, I think yes, there's a bit of gap there.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I think there was a break in the line, so I didn't really catch. Oh, okay. So so just precisely as you are saying, there's a bit of gap in there in terms of how citizens perceive the who should be able to keep their MPs to work. And so citizens need to understand that they have like a very big task to keep their MPs to put them to work, because first of all, it's citizens that gave MPs the mandate to become their representatives, and so they are the same ones that should be able to keep they should be able to keep them to work. And so if they feel that the MPs are not really working, they should be able to be writing petitions and letters to them, be organizing protests against them, just to get them to work. If they think the MPs are not meeting them enough to come to explain the laws that they've passed and all that, they should be on their neck to be able to get them when they are on recess to come and then do these things. So if it ties into the next finding that I think the subsequent finding that I want to talk about. So tied to this is also another one that says that most Ghanaians, about 85%, say that their MPs never or only sometimes listen to what the people have to say. That is 85%. So that's a huge number. And it's on the contrary, it's only 14% that say that parliamentarians often or always try their best to listen. Now let me touch on the last one, and then maybe we can open it up and let's see how the conversation is.
See what other.
So more than 2/3. So the last finding says that more than 2/3 or 71% of Ghanaians give MPs a failing grade on their performance over the past year. And so when they were asked to rate their MPs, they
give
2/3.
So
yes, they failed their MPs.
In the past, was it where we had people less than 2/3 actually giving
there's a break you're like, Alfred.
Okay, so historically, what was the grade? I mean, I'm sure you've asked this question in the past. Was it better than what you found this year? Oh, I think he's frozen again. Ghana internet. Oh my God. So guys, you've heard our brother discuss his findings with us. And I can't put my hand around the fact that people still think it should be the president's job to tell parliamentarians what to do. What do you think about that, Tefa? And then I'm going to bring the law professor in so we can start this conversation as well. What do you think about that, Tefa? Do you think it's the president who should be talking, who should be actually getting parliamentarians to do what they're supposed to do to explain the laws they pass to their people. It should be the people. It should be a bottom-up approach. What do you think about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. And that's a very important question. I was going to put it to him. So in reading the report, right, that was one of the questions that I was going to ask him. It looks like the citizens do not understand their role in democracy. And we cannot fault them because we've created a system where government after government make the people think that they need to do everything for them. So, you know, that's why you get people always waiting on government, and government is not giving me this and government is not giving me that and stuff like that. So I think part of this survey and the research is to also find a way to educate them that this your thinking is wrong and that is the other way around. If we allow people to think that it is the duty of the president to make parliamentarians work, that is why some of us have been advocating through constitutional reform that we have to even decouple or demarriage this link between the executives appointing MPs, because you know that marriage is some kind of a responsibility where the MPs on the part of government think that it is their duty at all times to favor government. And we've seen that in the Fourth Republic, you know, that because, you know, majority of these ministers are coming from parliament, that is that edge. And coupled with people thinking in this survey that it is the duty of government, we need to shift it the other way around and try to educate people that, you know, you vote for him. Democracy works that all of us cannot assemble in parliament. So let's have this population being represented by this number of people being represented by. So your aspirations and your wish is what the people are supposed to do. And therefore you cannot say that, you know, the president should make sure that they bring you, they do this and all that kind of stuff. So that is an issue right there. The second thing is
so if I hold it, I think he's back, and you know, of course, Ghana, we want to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Me and you can stay and talk all this. Yes.
Okay, so I'm back. Just pardon me. I believe you understand my situation very well.
Of course.
Okay.
So go ahead. You were discussing some findings before you went off. So wrap up on that part, and I wanted to also ask any lessons, if anything, we learned from the process that should guide us going forward. What publicity or education should occur in our citizenry or within the population to actually bring them up to speed on what their duties are supposed to be. Did you learn anything that you can share with us?
Okay, so okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that was like the last part of the findings that I actually wanted to touch on.
To discuss. Okay.
So I mean, for me, I think I've already mentioned the voters who they think are responsible for the MPs to get them to work, and I think a bit of it has to do with a lot of education around this particular issue. And it's also interesting to note that, you know, citizens are saying that the hung parliament, I mean, in terms when it comes to, for instance, breaking down, let's say, the effectiveness of the hung parliament. Okay, so let me go into it. Is it that 39% think that the MPs has been somewhat or much more effective in passing laws? 39%. And so that is also a gray area that we to look at. Okay, so I think that fine. This parliament, I mean, they've been astute at doing quite a lot of things with their work. But however, citizens think that they have not been very effective at passing laws, and I think that this is something crucial that we need to look at. And we need to look at this. You see, one law that has been on the back burner for a very long time is the affirmative action bill. And so that bill will be a game changer if parliament is to pass it. But fine, it hasn't come from cabinet, probably because of, I mean, we didn't have a substantive gender minister for almost about 8 months. And just recently the president appointed one as a replacement. They have to go through the process of vetting and all that before she's onboarded. And so that whole process has stalled. But the point is that for the past 11 years, I mean, that law has not.
What do you think that law would do that is not being done currently? Oh my God, internet, Ghana. Maybe I should stop asking questions because each time I ask the question, he freezes. All right, so yeah, he was just talking about the fact that the affirmative action law need to be passed, and that would change or be a game changer, and that we haven't had Minister of Gender for a while. We just have one appointed, and hopefully that is why the delay in passing that law, and he went frozen again. So wait for him to come. But let me ask, Kojo is also with us. Kojo, welcome to the show. Kojo, you've heard so much. Any thoughts about what you've heard so far? Anything running through your mind? You want to ask him? I'm just trying to prime it so that once he comes back, you can take that and ask. So Kojo.
Yeah, thank you, Alfred. Thank you for your listeners and viewers at the same time. And
right.
my boss himself, the great Kakape. All right, now you see.
Because your sound is way
back, right? Let me let you know.
Yeah.
Always working. Is it better now? Is it better?
Yes, a little much better.
So I came in between when the gentleman was speaking, but I think I don't really have a question. But my only problem I have is with all this research and findings. Most of the time we hear all this research and findings because it's coming from our own people, government or ministries and departments who are supposed to take care of this. Normally don't do anything because until it comes from somewhere so-called Western world, and then we'll start like debating on this on radio and on. What can they do differently with these findings that it will bring to the fore to members of parliament or people who are in power to make sure that all these things are implemented?
Right. Okay. Great. That's a great observation. So now let me bring in my brother, the law professor, Derek. Derek, can you hear me now from your computer?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Perfect. So Derek, let's do your segment and introduce yourself to me first, because Derek, number one, let me just say something quickly about Derek. Derek was my senior. Oh, Derek, apologies. Mousy is here again. Let me use 3 minutes to finish with Mousy?
Yes,
and then I'll bring you. But Derek, as I was saying, was my senior in so many, even from basic school all the way through secondary school. So somebody I respect so much. One of the people I look up to. So when he comes, of course, he's gonna tell us all the juicy, all the things all the punishments he gave me when I was. So then, please let me use 5 minutes to wrap up with Mousy, and then we'll come to you, Mousy. Your internet is so bad, and
yeah.
I blame it on Baumia for telling us that he has digitally improved the country, but here you are having problems. Anyway,
Senior Derek, I greet you.
I receive your greetings, sir. How are you?
Right. I'm fine.
Yeah. I don't know if you two know each other, but I believe I will change your numbers so that you guys can pass on. So Derek is actually a law professor in GIMPA, and you are also in CDD doing some fantastic work. So it'll be a good relationship, and we'll see how the two of you mold the country or help develop our country, so that when we come, we can enjoy the peace and good democracy. So thanks for the two of you, the things you are doing for the country, and for joining the show today. So you were talking about the affirmative action bill, right? That's the minister just got appointed, and the confirmation process should go through. You were going to tell us what the bill would do that is not currently being done. So before you went off, so if you can, help us understand that, and then proceed.
Okay. All right. So what I was trying to say was that for that particular bill, assuming that it's passed, it would then make it a bit mandatory for appointments at the local level appointment at the national level for, I mean, several positions, at least a 30% quota to be reserved for women. And so we need a lot of women.
Okay.
Yes, for women. So we need a lot of women within our decision-making spaces and our decision-making processes. Yes, because currently as it stands now, it's just about 40 MPs out of just 275 that are women. And that is very woefully inadequate. When you go to the assembly, the assemblymen and women, assembly members, it's just 216 out of over 6,000 that are women. That is woefully inadequate, okay? So we need to then create that tactical spaces for women to also get on board when it comes to decision making. And I believe that that law has, I mean, since 2011, when there was that push and advocacy to get it passed, has never come on stream. And the whole process got stalled, particularly because we've not had a substantive minister for the past few months. And so the sector, so I mean, that has also fed into all these things. But the point I'm trying to make in connection to Parliament is that citizens are saying that Parliament has not been effective at passing laws. But I'm just saying that, assuming that this law were to be passed, it would probably have been a game changer in terms of, I'm sure, the noise that would probably be made from both sides in getting this law passed and all that. And so that at least would have fed into citizens thinking and understanding when it comes to the laws. The laws have been passed. I mean, within this period, within this survey is being done. And so people would have probably gotten to know more about it. But the other part is that I also feel, or we feel that MPs maybe do not, I mean, engage their constituents, like they don't engage their constituents very well, or adequately. They don't engage them adequately, because if, for instance, they are on recess, there's a good opportunity for them to go back home and then be hosting maybe town hall meetings to, report back
educating their people,
educate the people, report back to them the work that they've been doing, and then the kind of decisions that they've been making for them on their behalf in Parliament at the national level. But it looks like not much of these things are done. And you know that when MPs go home, probably the first people or the people that they get to meet a lot will be their own party people. That'll be massive up in their offices, in their homes, and all those things. And so they give ear to them. And there's also interestingly, there's also another finding connected to this that says that MPs do not listen. Almost about 86% or so, or 85 or 84% that are saying that the MPs do not listen. It's just 14% that are saying that.
What do they mean the MPs do not listen? In other words,
they do not listen to what they have to say. Okay, let me look for the slide and try and then see whether I can read out the specific question. The specific question. Okay, so the question says that. Okay,
if you tell me the page, I can even share it so others can view.
I think page 4. How much of the time do you think members of Parliament try their best to listen to what people have to say?
Okay.
How much? Okay. And I mean, when you look at the findings carefully, it's just about, when you put all the various category responses together, it's just about a small number that says that the MPs actually listen. That's interesting. That, I mean, just about 40% or so that say the MPs actually listen to them. And so it means that, okay, one, I've already made a point that I don't think the MPs, they're engaging enough, they're educating their members enough. And probably even if they get to probably host any town hall meetings, I'm sure it's just their own party people that fill up the place to come in and tell them what they want to hear and all that. And so citizens probably may not get that chance to probably participate, participate massively, even if sort of there's that kind of town hall meeting between the MP and then their citizens. That is, even if they do that. And so this kind of creates some gap in terms of the kind of information that citizens are supposed to get about the work of their parliamentarians and about the work that they do. And so I believe that if these opportunities are being created by MPs to engage their constituents, it would help them, their citizens, their constituents, to be able to understand their role even better, so that people will not misconstrue that role of an MP being, a development agent. Meanwhile, his role is to represent his people. His role is to make laws. His role is to keep.
Right now, everybody thinks their role is to build roads for them. Probably
because maybe one part of the problem is that they also overpromise and also make certain promises that are out of place when they are campaigning, because in their quest for power, they tend to say a lot of things that, bamboozle the citizens. And so their expectations are always very much heightened when they realize that this person has indeed gotten the nod to represent and then to serve as people. And so, yes, they would want to see that happen. And so that comes to that kind of education also about the development role. I mean, so in fact, that kind of attention that is given to the MP when it comes to local level development, in actual sense, it's supposed to go to the DCs. But these people are also appointed by the president.
The president.
So the accountability to the president and not to the people.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of fixing that we need to do.
Needs to be done. Yes. Right. I think once we start voting the DCEs to office, that should alleviate some of these problems, because then the people will begin to hold them accountable, because they would have seen that we voted you and we can take you out rather than the president appointing you. I'm learning so much from this conversation.
It's something that we've been really pushing at our end as CDD with some civil society organizations in the country, and then we think that is the way to go. At least, if not for anything, the basic thing is that we should be able to elect our MPs. I mean, our DCs. I mean, before whether the partisan or the partisan base or not will come in, at least that basic rule needs to be established. And our findings from some local government surveys that we've done shows that citizens are really rooting. 76% are really rooting for their DCs to be elected.
Right. So quickly, maybe with some 2 minutes, if you can tell us any lessons. Are there some winners out of this? Are there some group of people who we can call winners because of the nature of the parliament we currently have, or are the citizens winning as a result of the hung parliament, or is the majority losing, or is the minority winning? Who are the winners and losers? And if there are any lessons we should carry from these studies going into 2024?
Okay, so I think this question is an interesting question. But is it possible? I know we are talking about hung parliament, but I was talking about Afro-Barometer, but CDD also did a post-election survey somewhere last year where we had a few questions around the hung parliament. Okay, I don't know whether I have the opportunity to do that. Let me
absolutely.
Let me just throw that in to give us some empirical basis around the conversations that we'll be having, so that I can then go for it. Okay, so we asked citizens about their expectations about the hung parliament. Okay, their expectations about the hung parliament. This is a survey that we did. This is a CDD survey in 2021, post-election survey. Okay, and the fact is that there was a lot of expectations from members of parliament. So this is a positive side, and then the negative side was also there. One was that almost about, for 8 in 10, close to about 8 in 10, on a number of things that they expected. So 8 in 10 said that they expected. Okay, so the question was, in your opinion, how likely or unlikely is it that the current parliament with the NPP and NDC having an equal number of seats will force or ensure full attendance of MPs during parliamentary sitting in parliament? So 80% said this current parliament would ensure that there's full participation. Okay. The other part.
Have we seen that? Have we seen that though?
Because
we know how this was going.
I know that Speaker of Parliament has still been complaining, because it was also my expectation, and along with the whole other Ghanaians. But I heard the Speaker of Parliament complaining once about this, and I think Joe Wise has also complained. The First Deputy Speaker has also complained about this, and attendance has also been affected in a lot of sense. And the point is that you only get full attendance
if there are contentious issues, like
contentious issues or contentious bills to pass. One of them is e-levy. You saw the way they had to wheel people that were and all the kind of gimmicks that went in there just to get their numbers, show up their numbers to pass, and on one hand, and then to oppose the bill on another hand. And so, when it comes to critical issues, yes, but so that in that sense, that kind of old diehard behavior of MPs when it comes to attendance to parliament, it still needs to be interrogated, and then the whip needs to be cracked on that particular issue. So that, I mean, whatever sanctions that people are supposed to go, whether if they're saying that for 15 continuous sitting, you are not absent without any reasonable reason. I mean, the privileges committee should be able to deal with that particular issue, and you know, whatever sanctions that there is, whoever is found culpable. Now, on the other side, there was also about still on the same question, improve practice of parliamentary democracy. So 80% thought that this hang parliament is likely to improve the practice of parliamentary democracy. And another 80% also saw that it will keep the executive in check. But the question is that, has the executive really been checked? I know, even though the numbers are almost equal, then the minority in parliament has been pushing very hard to try and get a lot of ministers to be able to come and account for quite a number of things. It's been very difficult, for instance, when it comes to finance issues and when it comes to COVID-19 expenditure and all that. I don't think there's been that kind of full level accountability around these issues that will satisfy our citizens. I don't think so. The expectation is very high, but in terms of delivery on that, for me, I think there's a shortfall on that. And when it comes to what aid scrutiny of international contracts, it's 73% or 7 in 10 that said that this current composition of parliament will be able to help them. Because you realize that in times past, because the majority had that absolute majority, they were able to bulldoze a lot of
everything through parliament,
and a lot of them through without much scrutiny. And a lot of these things have come to harm the country because people do not
like the energy contracts that we are currently
the whole lot of debt, what do you call it, judgment debts that have come just because later on people came to abrogate or try to amend certain contracts just to favor the country or the reverse. And so all these things have led to a lot of debts that we are paying, judgment debts that we've been paying for a lot of years now. And so there's that was that kind of expectation. And I believe that maybe it's early days yet for us to be able to come to a conclusion on whether that has been fully delivered or not. And so maybe subsequently another survey will help us to be able to distill that. And so on the other side, let me touch on the negative side as well. So what I talked of was, a positive,
the positive expectations,
expectations of parliament. Now, others also think that when it comes to the impact that is likely to have, others also think 61% think that it will slow down decision making, and we saw that with what do you call the e-levy when the government was in a hurry to pass it, but there was a lot of kickback and then pushback from citizens and all that. Make MPs connive more on issues that affect them, and I think yes. It was one of the impacts that the 60% are saying this, and one of the things that people raise. And I think, I mean, for me, I was even disappointed from the get-go when they were vetting some of the ministers, because I just feel some people were not fit for office, but they were passed through, and so I don't know the kind of underhand dealings that went there. And so I that connivance issue can be very much alive, and it needs us to be able to look critically into these issues and then call out people. Now the other part also said,
the impression I'm getting is that the last two,
the last three. So another 57% said it would disrupt the NPP government's business and agenda. So I think at least we've seen how
we've seen that
played out, and 55% said it will make business persons unsure of the outcome of government policies and programs. And so that would also require a bit of interrogation from the business community to get a further sense or fuller sense of the extent to which this is playing out. And then 35% thought that it wouldn't make any difference at all. And so at least these were the expectations from citizens when it comes to hard parliament from our local government survey that we conducted. And when you just oppose that to the 2022 edition of the Afrobarometer or the Dramai, which also gives us another angle to the story.
All right. So I see some sophistication of the average Ghanaian citizen who you guys have been engaging and trying to get answers out of. I can tell that people are really engaged. People are really thinking through the issues when they are answering these questions. But let me switch over to the other guests to see if they have any question for you. Let's start from Derek. Derek, do you have any question for my brother Mausi from all the presentations you've heard?
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to find out from all that you've gathered, do you think Ghanaians understand the role and the function of a parliamentarian, basically?
I think for that, a lot of Ghanaians get it very wrong in terms of the expectations about the work of their parliamentarians. And I think I earlier on mentioned the issue about that ascription of the development role of that's supposed to actually go to the mayor or the DCA, to the MP. And these things stem from how MPs present themselves when they are candidates, the kind of promises that they make, that they'll make sure that this road is fixed. But you know that you have to go and lobby for these things, and so you are not necessarily the one who construct it, and the kind of promises that they make. So it places a lot of huge expectations on of the citizens on them, and this is what I think they've been doing since 1992. And so over time, that core function of their role as representatives of the people in parliament, and of they being passing laws for the country, and also looking at issues that has to do with scrutiny of the government, has been lost on the citizens. And so citizens want to focus more on the other things that are within their local government area settings that ordinarily should have been directed towards the district assembly, and by extension the head of the district assembly, who is the district chief executive. But it's probably because our DCs are not elected, they are rather appointed. And so that kind of thing makes it, puts it in a position whereby the DCs are only accountable to the appointing authority, who is the president. And so they don't care what citizens think. And I've had just recently, we've done quite a number of town hall engagements where we try to bring citizens and some groups together to meet the assembly. For the assembly to even educate them about the processes within the assembly, how they can participate, citizens can get to participate in the assembly processes and all that. And it would amaze you to know that when we had this event, it's just in few places that the DCs actually showed up. Few places. We're doing almost about 30, we did 30 for the youth, 20 districts for citizens. And the MP the DC showed up in just few of these citizens.
They didn't even bother.
And even the few ones that they showed up, they just came to read the address and then they left. And so when they got to the open forum session, they were not there to take some of the direct comments that came from the citizens. And so
you remember, I don't know if it was the beginning of this administration or the last administration or so, the whole issue of the DC that when they say chair, somebody said chair. They said, who said chair?
It was for the previous, but then it's
the previous administration. Okay. Right. So that kind of captures the attitude of the DCs.
Yes, it does. So I mean, they don't want to meet the people. They don't want to, they don't want to meet them. They're accountable to them. And so the MPs, are the ones that citizens are often targeting. And even with that, the MPs are usually almost always, they seem to attend more to their party people than even people that are not within their party.
Wouldn't that be the reason why they have the MPs Common Fund, so that, especially when they go to their various constituencies, of course, they're going to be, the people elected them and they're expecting so much from them, all the promises they make. So they have this fund that allowed them to be able to do one or two things within those constituencies. Isn't that the reason?
Yes, so it's true. So that is why I think around 2004 or so, they pushed for that law to be passed for 5% of the overall, District Assembly Common Fund to be given to them.
Be allocated to them.
To allocate to them for them to be able to, pursue some developmental initiatives that fall within their purview. But that money is also not adequate enough. And even with that money, the assembly members are also gunning for. They're also gunning for that, because we did some recent consultations recently, because they feel that we are the assembly members, we are in the communities with the citizens. The MP is far away in Accra and only comes there when it's on recess or when there's a funeral or something. And so we, day, night, and day, and sunshine, citizens are calling us to do stuff. So why don't you give us a piece of the pie? And so you see where we are going. And so, what is expected of parliamentarians? I think that we've missed the mark on that, and there should be a lot of public sensitization and then reorientation around these issues. And that will start with MPs when they go back to their constituencies. The town hall meetings, they should be able to. I don't know whether we should find a way. I think in the advanced countries, UK or so, they are mandated to sort of meet their constituents anytime they're on recess. We should be able to have systems like that where MPs are mandated to meet their constituents.
We find most of them coming to the US here to. We find most of them coming to the US here to
cool off. To cool off. So that should be done to at least get them to be able to get opportunity to interact with their citizens and let them know what is happening at the national level, the kind of laws that they are making, how beneficial are those laws, so that they don't pass laws that will harm their people.
Excellent. Okay, great. So let me have one more, and I'll give this to Kojo. Kojo, any question or comments from what you've heard so far that you want to ask of our brother Mausi?
Thank you very much, Alfred. Thank you, Mausi, for doing this. But this is something that I want to ask you. Looking at the composition of our constitution, or for instance, the members of parliament, the fact that the presidency or the government in power is supposed to pick about 50% of ministers and from members of parliament. Do you think there should be a way where that thing should be changed, so the legislature will have the power in terms of quote unquote monitor or guide the executive in terms of how policies are made? Because at the end of the day, you have 50% of, let's say, 137 members of parliament, which are appointed by the president. At the same time, they are supposed to be the one checking the executive. How well could this be done, and what do you think they should be done about that?
Okay, so I think you've as a question, but I just feel you've probably answered the question yourself. So I am of the view, and even those of us at CDD and those of us in governance are of the view that this is actually the way to go. That we actually need to get, some changes around this, to have an amendment that will just yank off that kind of law that expects the president to appoint almost about 40% of his ministers from parliament, because that affects the way parliament functions. And so it means that, first of all, every parliamentarian would, especially within a ruling party, would want to be appointed into government, and so they wouldn't want to do or say anything that will go against the president or the position of their party in any way. And so everybody will be gunning for it. And so that is one. The other part is that, and so they will not really scrutinize bills that they're supposed to pass and all those things. And so they'll just go for the easier route by supporting their party. And so that has really hurt us so much as to where we are today, with all sorts of judgments that's floating around, all sorts of bad debts and all sorts of bad deals floating around that are hurting the ordinary citizens. And so there's something that we believe there should be amendments around this. And I think the Constitutional Review Commission probably, I'm not too sure, maybe I'm not too sure, so I don't even go there. But these are issues that will require some reforms, because it makes Parliament non-effective and makes it just a rubber stamp, what the president is bringing. And we also think that the other part is that even with that, the MPs who are then ministers, because they are pretty much engaged with their ministerial work, they do not get to attend Parliament that often and participate in the debates and even with the committee work and all those things. And so that in itself, affects the functions and then the duties of Parliament. And so they are one key function that they are supposed to perform as being checkers of the executive is really, really hampered and then limited. And so they're not able to do that, because it looks like you are limping. You are in a race with 100-meter races, and then you are limping on one leg. How fast can you be with people who are running on full throttle? So that's how it looks like. And so Parliament is not able to deliver effectively. And so that really requires a strong critical review. And I think these are things that, as persons that are interested in governance, persons in society and all that, should be able to push. That arrangement was done in 1992. It made the government at the time very, very comfortable. And so, yes, and so subsequently, everybody has taken it on, and they do not want to repeal it because it helps them.
Now that we have private members bill, perhaps CDD will champion a bill for something like that, don't you think?
Alfred.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, could you go ahead?
Can I ask Moses one question again? Well, so in going around CDD, have you guys also posed the question to the Ghanaians if they need the amendment of the constitution, and are they really in tune with it in terms of we changing it, or they say we should stick to the old thing if it's not?
I wouldn't be too sure. Okay, the recent surveys that I've really been keen on, I've not come across this question, and so I'm not too sure whether we have that question, and probably even if we did, it will probably be in older rounds that happened around when we're having a constitutional review and all that. But it's something that I need to probably go and then ask my colleagues about it, and maybe go through each of the questions to see whether we had any question of that sort. But I mean, as it stays now, I know we don't have any question within this particular survey. I'm very certain about it.
Awesome. I think you've been talking for a whole hour, and I'm sure you need some water break. But Kakape, before he leaves, do you have anything you want to ask him, just to give you the opportunity to as well? Any question for him, briefly?
Yeah, the question is that when you look at the research questions or the survey questions and the responses, obviously, they had either a different understanding of the question other than what the survey was trying to arrive at. How do you fix that? How do you fix that? And the second thing is that the responses were not. You see, the responses portrayed a wrong understanding of that. There are institutions that are supposed to work these things out, like the national civic education, something national, but something NCCE.
Yeah.
Do you link up with some of these people to correct it so that you don't go back and get the same feedback that, like you're talking to people that
what you're asking is if they did find that the questions are not being properly answered, or there's education needed, do they work with NCCE to kind of ensure the education is doable? Okay, all right.
So is that a question?
Yeah,
he's asking
you if you guys collaborate with
because there was a break in my line, so I kind of missed out on a bit. I kind of missed out on a bit of the conversation at the time. Okay, so for NCC, we tend to engage them a lot, or collaborate with them a lot on some of the projects that we have to enhance their work. But you realize that NCC is one of the most under-resourced organizations that we have, government organizations that we have. And so they're a bit hampered in terms of dedication, the outreaches that they're supposed to do a lot. Because, I mean, for instance, when you have to move to the rural areas, you need a bit of fuel to be able to, fuel vehicles. Some even don't have vehicles. Some of the district offices don't even have vehicles. If you are lucky and you have a vehicle, it means that you don't even have resources to fuel it. I were just doing a project evaluation, and I had some of them in our meeting just this evening, just before I just stormed out. One guy said that he actually has a vehicle for his district, but then he has to buy fuel into the vehicle by himself, and even for the money, so he has to buy fuel. So now things have really really hit him hard. So I think the vehicle has been packed because he cannot keep on fueling out of his own personal expenses. Now I'm sure you don't even get the investments for a whole year. NCC has only received just about 1,000 Ghana cedis out of what they're supposed to receive, and that is also for some communication or something. You see, and so it means that the money that's supposed to go to the organization, they don't what they budget for. They just get peanuts out of it, and so maybe all the expenses for their organization will probably go into, let's say, will probably go into will probably go into salaries, emoluments, and all that. And so the rest of it, when it comes to goods and services and building assets for the organization, they probably don't get anything. And so that is more worrying. And so a lot of times, we are quick to point out the NCCA as the organization that needs to lead, public sensitization and education, which is rightly so. But the point is that they don't get resourced.
Right.
They are really under-resourced, and it's a crime. So that's how come I'm passionately advocating for them. And for us as CDD, anytime we got opportunity, we tend to advocate for them. And sometimes when we get opportunity to do some of our work, we fall on them because we realize it falls in their area. And so we provide a bit of support just to get them able to do the work with us so that we can get the work done. And
how do you guys get funding? I mean, where do you guys get money for all these things that you do?
So we are We are a civil society organization. We are non-profit, and so we don't do commercial activities to be able to get money. And so most of our funding that we have, our funding streams come from bilateral organizations, and from some foundations. A lot of them are outside the country, from UK, US, Sweden, Danida, and all those, Sweden, Canadian Embassy, US Embassy, and all those other organizations from outside. And so because Ghanaians or within local philanthropy, it's not really there. People haven't come to that point to really understand the essence of the work that we do, for them to pump money into our stream of work. And so that really hampers the work that we do, but we get most of our funding from outside to be able to do the work that we do.
All right, good. Kakape and his friends here have some deep pockets, so I would pray that they contribute some, or they send some dollars your way. So
if he wants to donate any money, he can go to our website, www.cddgh.org. There's a donate function there. He should get in touch and then see how he can donate, or he could send an email to info@cddgh.org to inquire about how he can contribute to our cause. And I mean, our website is there.
Thank you so much. And I would be selling that too. I'll get the information from you so that every now and then we'll put it out to people who are interested, so they can donate to the cause. I think you are doing some very important work for our country, and we are very grateful. We can all those of us from outside looking, thank you so much for all the good things you are doing, and at least spending more than an hour explaining to us, educating us on all the fantastic work that CDD and the Afrobarometer have been undertaking. We appreciate your time. We would ask that if you have some time in the future, that you bless us again like you did today and come and explain more to us. Thank you so much. Any other final word anybody want to say to Mr. Mousy before we let him depart from us?
I will urge him that they should continue with their good work for the country. Development and governance is a huge chunk, and whatever the role they are playing is part of making sure that people understand, to educate, to get others involved in where they are slacking and stuff like that, so that together we have a country that we all want to build. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kakape. Thank you, and to Dennis as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right. Have a wonderful day. We will be right back. Let's take a quick commercial break and talk to Dennis about the law school. Be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, You're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. That was a fantastic conversation we just had. I think I've learned so much in that one short hour than I've done the whole week. Anyway, welcome back to the show again. My name is Alfred Amuzu. At this point, I want us to switch to Ghana Law School. So we know that in Ghana, for you to go to law school, first of all, you actually have to do the LLB, which is supposed to be a bachelor's in law. And then once you are done with that, and you can do this in several different universities. University of Cape Coast doing that, University of Ghana, UPSA, which is the University of, and then GIMPA, Central, so many different universities doing the LLB program. But once you're done with the LLB program, there's only one school that grants you the license to practice law in Ghana, which is the Ghana Law School. And you have to take an exam before going to the Ghana Law School. And this exam process, sometimes people who pass the exam from last year, for instance, we've heard about some 499 people passed the exam but couldn't get admission, and it became a problem that was dealt with. But this year, which was, I think, a couple of days ago, the exam papers actually leaked out. So it seems this organization, or the General Legal Council who runs this organization, runs the admission process, just can't get a break. Every year they seem to have some issue. We have no other than the best in the business, teaching law in GIMPA himself, Mr. Derek Ohima Mensah. Derek, welcome to the show. I want you to introduce yourself to us. I don't know if you punished me before, you didn't, but today you're on the spot. So tell us all about it. My senior, my big brother, somebody I look up to. Derek, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And I want to say, is it good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all your viewers all across the globe. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Derek Ohiming. I've been teaching at the graduate and the undergraduate level for some time. From 2007, I've been doing that. And so law is my passion. I lecture at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and I've been a visiting professor at other universities, including the University of Ghana and a few others around. So yes, that's me. That is what I do by way of introduction. As to whether I punished you or not, in fact, I don't remember. You know, and so being very tiny myself, I didn't have the clout to, rain any form of punishment. So, it's good to catch up with old times, and so yes, that's by way of introduction.
Thank you so much. So Derek is denying whether he punished me, but we'll keep it like that.
I haven't denied it. I haven't confirmed.
Confirm it either. All right. You see the thing that lawyers do, right? We can't keep them down. All right, Derek. So yeah, Derek. So you have gone through this process as a lawyer. What is the problem? Why can't we just run a law school? I mean, first of all, we keep hearing about this scandals. It could be whether some people pass the exam when they're admitted. Why is this? Why can't we expand the law school? Get more people, as many as we want. What exactly is the issue here?
Legal practice in Ghana is regulated. Like any other professional practice.
Right.
And so the practice of law in Ghana is such that you need to fulfill some requirements to enable you practice. And so the General Legal Council is the body that is mandated by law to oversee all of these, and it is based on the Legal Professions Act of 1960, Act 32, actually.
Okay.
And so that act allows this body to sort of ensure that there is sanity. And of course, I agree, the practice must be regulated. And so there is a need for that to be done. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with trying to sanitize, trying to ensure that things are done properly, and trying to ensure that the unsuspecting masses are not abused and so on and so forth. And that is perfect. So the law establishes the General Legal Counsel, and they are supposed to deal with all of these things. And so you would have to go through some form of process, some form of training, and it is done everywhere else. In the UK, for example, with your LLB, you'd have to go through the bar counsel's course, and then you are called to the bar by one of the inns of court. There are 4 inns of court in the UK: Grace Inn, Inner Temple, and so on. So when they call you to the bar, you still have to go through a pupillage, a professional practice, before you can be on your own. And so you will realize that it is a practice that is sensitive. Lives may be lost and so on. And so it is okay. The process in Ghana is that when you are done with your LLB, you go for the professional training, the bar training. And that is done by the Ghana Law School, mandated for now to be offering that. But the General Legal Counsel says that you need to take an entrance exams.
Okay.
And you need to pass that entrance exams before you gain admission into that practice. And then when you are done with the training, you need to take another exit exams before you are called to the bar. We will get to that if we need to. The challenge over the years has been that that an independent exams committee is mandated to take care of these exams. And so they are supposed to set the questions, it is supposed to be administered, and then another independent group is supposed to do the marking. And so the 499 students that you spoke about earlier, was it last year or so? Supposedly, it was said that they did not pass the entrance exams. I agree with certain standards. If we set standards to make sure that we have the creme de la creme, that is fine. But you see, sometimes when you set standards and the standards you've set is such that you are shooting yourself in the foot, then we need to look at these ones again. Now, the law school entrance exams was yesterday, Friday, and it leaked. I am sorry to be admitting this is not the first time something like that has happened. There's been pockets of such incidences in the past. It may not have gone public as that of this very last one. This last one went very public because I think one of the ladies uploaded whatever onto Facebook and so on, and so it blew up out of proportion and so on. The challenge here is that you have students who are determined to be trained professionally, who are determined to abide by, to comply by all your standards in order for them to gain entry. Now, you see, the law was passed in 1960. What was the population of Ghana in 1960 when that law was passed? That is the first question. That building at Makola, where it is at the time, could accommodate Ghanaians. Are we saying that today it can still accommodate us? Let's be very objective and let's be sincere in this conversation. The population has increased. The last time a population census was undertaken, although my household and I were not counted, they said that we are 30 million plus Ghanaians. Let us be sincere. How many public universities do we have? How many students were trained by the University of Ghana from when the law was passed up to now? Look at the numbers writing the entrance exams to the University of Ghana alone. And that should tell us that we have an issue. We have an elephant we must eat, whether we like it or not. We must start eating that elephant. As big as it is, we have to resolve it. I know in the past, some measures have been put in place. A law village is being constructed and so on to help deal with some of these things. But I think that practically, we need to admit the fact that we need to review our system and our practice. As to the leakages, it is a human institution. I will not condemn anybody, but that does not mean that people have done something right. You see, it is only when you compromise your integrity that something will happen. Who is setting the question? How is it leaking? Obviously, it is somewhere along the value chain, from where the questions are set to where it is printed through to the exams hall. That is where the leakage would occur. It is obvious. Section 3 of the Act 32, talks about admission into the law school. It is very clear. It says that for you to be admitted to the law school, you must have a high integrity. If those who have been admitted to the school must have a high integrity and therefore prove that they are worth their salt, in addition to the qualifying certificate that they would produce, then it means that anybody that has gone through the law school by default had a good character and can be trusted. So now, if these people have gone through the process and therefore they are required to have a very good character, because before they are admitted, they must prove that Section 3 is clear. And so if they've gone through that and they are now coming to set entrance exams questions and it is leaking, then what has happened to the Section 3 as a prerequisite for admission? What has happened to their own good character and their own integrity? And this is where I have a problem, because you see, he who comes to equity must come with a clean hands.
Clean hand, yes.
If your hands are soiled, how do you tell me that mine too are soiled? You must clean yours before you would talk about mine. And so, in my view, the Independent Exams Committee has a lot of work to do. I don't favor scrapping off the entrance exams totally, personally, because of standards. I believe that it can be used as a funnel to sieve and so on. So yes, but you see, as much as I don't favor the scrapping off of the entrance exams totally, I believe that the homework of the Independent Exams Committee must be done. It must be done. It must be done with integrity. Every professional practice has its integrity tied to the conduct of exams. What is your degree certificate if the conduct of exams in the institution where you acquired it from is bogus? What is the worth of your certificate if somebody can sit at home and pay money and so on and so on? And so we need to look at that. We need to streamline this. It boils down to integrity that has been compromised. We are training professionals who are going to defend people, who are going to defend lives and so on and so forth. If they lack integrity, what will happen? We are shooting ourselves in the foot as a nation. But that is also because we have refused, we are playing the ostrich. We have refused to look at the changing times. In the UK, in England, there are so many law schools. You will be spoiled with choices. In the city of London alone, you have BPP Law School, you have the College of Law, you have the Westminster. I can name over 20 different law schools offering these. So you pick and choose where you go to. You are trained and then you write the exams. If you pass, you pass. I know that in the US too, for example, with the New York bar, I can come in. If I come to the New York on Monday, I can decide if I deem it fit that I can sit. I can go through the process, pay, register, and write the exams. Yes, if I pass, I've passed. If I don't pass, I go back to. So why can't we consider something like that in Ghana? What is so impossible here? Why is it being so much overprotected and so on, to the extent that people have to struggle? I agree. Like I said, standards must not be lowered. But you see, when you have the population increasing, multiply. I believe in 1960 we were about 6 million. I do not really have the figures, but I'm sure we were less than 10 million. If we were less than 10 million and now we are 30 million, that is at least times 3. What have we done about our institutions? Even our regions, we have decided to expand. Now we have 16 regions. The government of the day saw the need to expand the regions. So from 10, now we have 16. Did we have 10 at independence? No. But so you see, it is obvious we are playing the ostrich here, and I'm sorry, we can't continue this way. The way forward here is that in order to still keep the integrity of the exams and make sure we have lawyers who are lawyers and not what I call tabletop lawyers, we should still have the standard. But if we will have the standard, then we should reconsider the way we would admit people. Like you mentioned earlier during your introduction, there are over 5 universities in Accra offering LLB. Zenith College, GIMPA, Central University, Methodist University, Almighty University of Ghana is doing it. UPSA. I've mentioned about 6 or 7. There are people who are also taking the LLB privately from the University of London external law thing. And you can sit at home, write your exams and pass and so on. So if we have 6, Pentecost is part 7. So if we have 7 universities in Accra alone, Mount Crest 8. So you see the list will be inexhaustible. If we have 8 offering LLB, we should be the serious country we are. We are respected for being the serious country we are when it comes to professional development. When it comes to professional practice, I'm not just referring to the law. I am referring to all the other professional practice and so on. Ghana is up there. No doubt about that. We've maintained that for all of these years because of the caliber of the product, to the extent that other countries sponsor their people to come and even take first degree, second degree, and so on in Ghana, only to go back to their countries. Why are we trying to lose this? We can't afford to lose this. And so I think we need to sit up and hold a sincere conversation. The General Council and all the other stakeholders and everybody else, let's not point accusing fingers to start with. I am saying this based on my background as a conflict resolution. But then it is serious. We need to have a national conversation about this. What do we want to do? Where do we want to go from here? We need to look at it. We can't continue playing the ostrich. There has to be a genuine expansion. Do you know that from some research conducted, developed countries have developed because of the extent of literacy, not illiteracy. It is based on the extent of education. So, in my personal view, if about 5 million Ghanaians understood the law, the country will move forward. Why? Because we will hold our parliamentarians accountable, and so and all the rest. Governance would improve, and so on and so forth. If we have enough lawyers, there will be enough lawyers at the various districts, municipal assemblies, and so on. Contracts will not go wrong, and so on and so on. The various government institutions will all benefit, but we don't have enough, and we are not admitting that we don't have enough. We have just a limited number at the ages place, and there are people who are ready to study. Let's not lower the standards, but I think we need to hold a conversation and let's open up this thing actually.
Thank you so much. Let me open it up. I mean, this is so wonderful. I've learned a lot. I mean, today's show is definitely one for the history books. Let me open it up for Kojo DC and Pakape to also ask some questions. Let's start with Kojo DC. Kojo, we are talking to our big brother, my senior, who is not confirming or denying that he punished me. But do you have any question for him from what you've heard so far?
Thank you very much, Amazu. Again, So, please, lawyer, the name again, please. Your name.
Derek.
Derek
Derek,
Ohimeni,
yes.
please. Derek Ohimeni.
Derek Ohimeni. All right. Thank you very much for this very education. But this is one thing that most people think about lawyers. They think, quote unquote, lawyers are dishonest. They are some kind of a profession that people really don't trust because of their background. And based on that, whatever is going on in terms of the bar trying to, for the exams, that is humans, you already explained. What will take that perception away where people will trust that, yes, even here in America, if you choose between professions, I think lawyers are number one in terms of people don't trust. How do we take, because these are the same people who would defend us in terms of anything. How do you guys do to take this thing out, especially in our country?
Thank you very much for your question. I would start from the point of view that the question is a biased question, and because the question is a biased question, you see, you have given the dog a bad name only to hang it. At the end of the day,
Are you sure, Mr. Barrister?
You have concluded that they are liars and so on. We say something. In every tribe or in every home, there is a mensa, as the saying would go. So yes, there may be one or two unfortunate bad notes in there. You may have met one or two.
Right.
I will not deny that. Lawyers are not liars.
I agree.
The practice of law is such that people think and will want to conclude that they are liars because, you see, you have to advocate for somebody, you have to defend somebody in front of a court, you have to help somebody win their case, and so on and so forth. But you see, these things are done within the ambit of law. These things are done within the provisions of law. You have code of ethics, you have code of conduct, and so on and so forth, guiding you. It is difficult when you have to defend somebody that everybody else is kicking against, and so on and so forth. And that is what may have contributed. Yes, in the past, one or two instances we have where a lawyer has defrauded a client, and so on and so forth. And so, like I said, like any other human institution, there may be one or two bad notes. But generally speaking, the work is to defend, is to speak for the weak, to stand in the shoes of the weak and help them out of a situation that they find themselves in, and so on. One of the things we can do from the latter part of your question, trust is like an egg. When it falls down from your hands, it breaks, and that's it, it's gone. I have always believed in one thing. I should treat you the way I want you to treat me. If I can treat you the way I want you to treat me, and the next person will be treated the same, I'm sure we will have a lot less stress. But unfortunately for us, we live in a world where this particular generation does not believe in going through processes, does not believe in procedures. They think that the moment you sit in, you must arrive. And that is one of the major challenges we have throughout all. Can you imagine students come to school level 100 and they think that once they've paid school fees, they have to pass the exams to go to the next level. And they think that once they've gone to 200 and 300 and 400, they must graduate, whether they've met their requirements or not. In their minds, once they've paid fees and they've attended the lecture, they don't see why the lecturer should refer them and so on. And so that type of, it is my right, give it to me, and we want to take it by the left hand, is one of the major causes. And until we let the reality on the ground that is to say that even humans don't just grow up. You go through a process. You are first of all a fetus in the womb for 9 months, and you go through a process, and that is how life is. So until we bring this particular life's process to bear on everything and in everything we do, we will continue to have issues. I think that people should know that it is a process they are going through and that they will get to that point. If a lawyer has practiced for 25 years and he's driving the latest G wagon, and I have practiced for 3 years, I should, and please, I do not mean to disrespect any vehicle, but then you see, if I practice for 2 years or 3 years, I should buy my Toyota Vitz and be comfortable, whilst I go into the shoes of the senior lawyer who is driving his G wagon. But the challenge is we don't want to go through that process, and until we have accepted that it is a process and that we must all be in the queue, we can't solve it. Please.
Interesting take.
Amazu,
Yes.
please, if I can ask I'm not saying from the way I don't even know you, but I think you'll be one of the honest people. I'm a businessman, so I've encountered so many, especially in Ghana. They even take your money and say, "Oh, call to be, cocoa first, me," but you don't see them.
I do, right?
You don't see them again, so I understand. But from the last point you made, for looking at you, I might think we might all be the same age in Amuzo, or you might be a little bit older than I don't know. What have caused this thing that you just said there? People are not going through the process. They are not going through the mail. What has changed is that we, society, that have made this upon ourselves, because I'm 45 years old, I can say that. I went through that. I know how you have to go. I remember one time my brother brought a car in our house, in our village. And for about 1 week, my mom would ask my elder brother, "How did you get this car?" The next morning, there's a police in our house arresting my brother, just to make sure that they find out exactly who gave him the car. But these days, we are not questioning anything. And if you do question, they tell you you're old school. So what kind of orientation can we come back to the old days where people go through the mill? It's not everybody who's going to go through that mill. Some people will just skip from 1 to 10. Some of us have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do we come back to that old believer that you work hard, you go through the process, and it's going to well?
I like the story of your mother. I mean, she's a virtuous woman for doing that. You see, life is a race of a baton, and so we are handing it over from one generation to the other.
Right.
I am sorry to be saying this with a pinch of salt, but I think that the generation ahead of us failed us. I am so sorry. I'll have to call. I'll have to hold the bull by its horn. They failed us in the sense that, as he said that I was his senior in our days at school. You wouldn't mess up. You will be straightened up by the senior who is 1 year ahead of you, and you dare not say I will not comply, because the senior who is 2 years ahead of you will insist that you follow through what the senior who is 1 year ahead of you has prescribed, and so on. And so the systems worked. There has been a systemic failure. The desire to seek for greener pastures and so on has caused that. Today, we've left the upbringing of our children to the television and to the house help. We've left the upbringing of our children to the teachers at school. Some of us don't even go through the homework of our children when they come back home. So we don't even know whether they are really going to school and so on. We are buying everything. We are paying fees. We are buying snacks. We are buying all the new games, PlayStation, whatever, and so on and so forth. And we are giving all of these to them, partly because we felt that we struggled, and so we don't want them to struggle, which is true. But we need to we need to measure, and we need to be moderate. Look at it in the house. Breakfast for the children. Who gives them the milk? They pour it as if they are blind, and mommy or daddy sees it, and then just laughs. In our days, you would go and bring the milk. Your mom takes the milk. They have just opened one side, and so she, presses it, applies pressure, and it falls in drops. You only chew some of these chicken and so on at Christmas, and so that is what has made us what we are now. We have
Right.
failed to pass this on to the next generation. And the influx of social media, unfortunately, social media is powerful. Look at what we are doing here. We are
Right.
using it positively to build lives.
Right.
The few people that I've seen go on TikTok are doing something funny and so on. That is not building us up. That is only going to be destroying us. And so the challenge is back to us, making sure that we train up the children in the way they should go. I mean, you should insist on it. I believe in human rights, but I also believe in punishment. I believe in an Old Testament scripture that says that foolishness abounds in the heart of the child. You should spank that child and bring them correction. Of course, if you have the means at age 19 to buy your son or your daughter a car at all costs, buy that car for that child, let them enjoy. But they must be responsible. They must be responsible before you give them the keys to that car. If they are irresponsible and you give them the keys to that car, they will pick up their friends, go to the nightclub, drink, and run into an accident. They may get injured, they may become incapacitated, and the money you have saved, you will spend on them the wrong way. Meanwhile, you should spend it on them the right way. So I think that in passing on the baton from the last generation, there has been a gap. They failed, and unfortunately for us, we have not been able to put the pieces together. The best thing to do is to go back to the ancient landmark. Let's go back to how your mom used to raise you. It's solid. Because then I remember in my days growing up, if I did something wrong, it did not take my father to correct me. Any elderly person in the community that saw that I done something wrong corrected me.
Right.
And indeed, I was grateful somebody else had corrected me. Why? The beatings was not going to be as severe as my mom or my dad would beat me. I pray they will not go and tell my dad that I did this. I'll just pray, if you see me do something wrong, just spank me, and then, let's put it out. It stays there.
I tell my mother that you spank me, so I don't get spanked again.
Exactly. So I think we need to go back to the drawing table. Honestly, we need to accept. I'll share something last on that. I was walking through the shopping center in one of the countries in Europe, and I saw a parent begging a 3 or 4 year old child. And I felt, begging that child to comport themselves. No, right there and then I will remove my belt, give you 1, 2, and tell you that you would have to be in track. And that child will not fool again. And I've always used this. My firstborn son, when he started growing, the first time I saw him fool around in the living room, he wanted something from the mom, and the mom wouldn't give it to him, and he quickly threw himself on the ground, and he was crying. I picked him up and I spanked him. I beat him, and when he finished crying, I told him the reason why I beat him was the fact that he was crying and he threw himself on the ground. That is not how to do it. If you have any protest, you use your mouth, speak, but you don't play tantrums. And that was the end. From that day, I never saw him cry and throw himself on the floor. It ended there. Right. So that is the way to go.
Right. Thank you so much. Those were some really good answers there. So let's switch to Kakape. Kakape, do you have any question of?
I've been disappointed in the way we treating prospective lawyers in the country. Is it not the case that there are people that feel that the regulation means not allowing people to get in? And why is that? That's what I see. Because, like you're saying, 1960 something, there hasn't been any meaningful expansion. And we keep it at Makola, and we expect everybody to be at Makola. Why are we not decentralizing? Why are we not having more than one place for people to do that? Why is it that, that's what I think, and that's what other people think, that people are specifically trying to put impediments in other people's ways so that they don't simply get into the law profession? Is that not a good assessment of what the situation is, and how do we avert that? Thank you.
All right.
I want to quickly add that there has been a little bit of expansion to the extent that the professional law school has 2 other campuses, one on the GIMPA campus and then one in Kumasi as well. But it is not enough. Yes. As to your question about some human unseen hands trying to put impediments on the way of others and so on. As somebody in academia, I have to speak with facts and data. I will not deny what you've said categorically, but I will also not be able to affirm it fully, because then we have all heard things like that in the past. Having heard things like that in the past without proof makes it difficult for me to either say yes or no fully. But I've seen some people go through the bar training who have no connections, who have no link to anybody. I mean, I've seen some people like that in the past go through it. I have made.
I'm not cutting you short, but can I give you an example?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were here when about how many people? About 500 people were denied admission, right?
499.
Yeah,
499.
They were denied admission, right? They said no facilities, they don't qualify, blah 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 blah, and all that. And then the Ghanaian population said no. They backed. Now you say you are not going to give them because of this reason, but when people say no, you can't, you have to. This is not fair. Then all of them were admitted. Why is that? Can you chip it in? I mean, just an example for us to fit in into my thinking of somebody and some people trying to make sure others don't get it.
So you're saying you're giving him some data to work with. Okay.
He has given me some data to work with. That's true. It happened in this country. You are right. It has happened. So for me, that tells me that there is room for improvement and that we shouldn't sit down. We should own everything that is going on in the country. The citizens should hold people who are placed at vantage points and places accountable. We should hold them up. If you are able to admit the 499 who you claim had failed and so on and so forth, then it means that there is something iffy that is going on that must be discovered and dealt with. At the end of the day, as to whether there are some form of unseen hands and so on, it may be true. It may be true that some people are trying to protect their profession and so on. But is there the need to protect the profession at this point in time, in this particular age where the world has gotten to? It is a global village. Must you still protect some form of profession and so on? People who are called to the bar in Canada, in the US, in the UK and so on can come to Ghana and practice law after they've done their post-call. If that is possible, although it may be a little bit expensive in terms of the funding and so on outside, if that is possible, why don't we seek to increase, develop, grow, expand our own homegrown solution? I believe that people who should speak to this, I mean, the president and so on and so forth, the chief justice and all the big people, the attorney general and so on, should reconsider the fact that Ghana is not as it was at independence. We have gone past that stage. We are 30 million plus, and therefore provisions must be made. Because you see, when you look at the 1992 Constitution, Chapter 6, the Directive Principles of State Policy, there is a segment that talks about education. We are all entitled to education. The thing is not free. They are paying fees anyway. So if they are paying fees and so on, why would you still disadvantage somebody? We've heard of stories where it is said that if your surname is not the type that has practiced law in the past, you may not, and so on and so forth. These may be hearsays, but you see, there will not be a smoke without fire. I've been told that when you are driving on the road in the afternoon and you see a mirage on the road, I've been told that it is a reflection of some river nearby or something of that sort. I don't know how true that is, but you see, all I want to say in answering your question is that there is no smoke without fire. It may be true, and so it is unfortunate. We need to deal with this because we are in the 21st century. We are not going back to the Stone Age. There's no way we are going back.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
I have another question. It's not really related to the law and the exam, but it's related to the law profession and the democracy. Do I have a permission to ask? If there's no time?
Yeah, you can. But I know we've kept him for so long, so.
Yeah, but this is an opportunity for some of us to get clarification on some of these issues, and I know the audience are going to like it. Okay, so I have a feeling that two professions have failed the third world, and when it comes to Ghana, has failed us in terms of our development and this issue of military takeovers and stuff like that. One of them is the accounting industry, that we are not able to account properly to the good people of Ghana, and then the second is the punitive, the law regime. Now, everybody is complaining about our constitution. Everybody is complaining about human rights issues. Everybody is complaining about issues that borders on law and the constitutionalism and the democracy that we have. Don't you think that based on these complaints and that the fact that sometimes this overthrow of government has been based on abuse and stuff like that, that the law profession and specifically the Ghana Bar Association has failed our democracy, and there is the need for us to do something about it? Is that a fair assessment of the situation? Thank you.
Professor Mills commissioned a committee. This is the report of the committee.
Yeah.
What has happened to this report? It has been kept on the shelf.
But I think bits and pieces of it has been implemented, though. Yeah.
Very slowly, at a snail pace, very slowly. Ex-President John Mahama should have run with this. Current President Akufo-Addo should have run with this. It was the taxpayers' money that was used to get this done.
Right.
And so if the taxpayers' money was used to sample the views, the opinions, the minds of Ghanaians as far as the constitution and so on is concerned, then I think that we have not done a good job as a nation leaving this to grow to become the bedroom of spiders and so on and so forth. Having said that,
no, you know that one is $6 million you're holding.
Oh, really? It's not how much you spent.
That's how much was spent. $6 million.
Look at that. So why have we let go of $6 million? I don't get it. We have two ways of handling our issues in this country. Before I will respond to your question, we have two main ways of handling our issues in this country. When the issues arise, we put together at the various radio stations a group of incompetent panelists and serial callers to share their political opinion, and then it ends there. Or we send it to Kumasi. Kume Socrates and his people would turn it into a movie, and that's it. We can't continue living life like that. Yes, I agree with you. The system has failed. It is a total overhaul that is required of the nerves of the system in order for it to function properly. You know that if your car's injectors are not functioning until you have cleared the smoke and so on and so forth, that car will not run. That is what is happening to Ghana. We have issues. Our injectors are not running. Our pump is not running. Ghana, I would compare to a diesel engine. Our pump is not running properly. And there are a few other issues and challenges here and there with our engine and so on and so forth. Instead of dealing with it, we have decided to change the driver. When you change the driver and these things are not dealt with, it will have the same effect and so on. And so I think that yes, accountability wise, we failed and so on. In dealing with the very last part, the justice delivery system has experienced some changes now. And so, for example, there's been an attempt to introduce what we will call the alternative dispute into the system to make sure that justice is served. But there is still a lot more that can be done and is being done. But yes, I agree with you. Our various institutions have failed. But the major failure is the individual Ghanaian, because we have kept quiet. Those of us who must speak have kept quiet, and those who are speaking based on political affiliations and so on. And that is not helping us. We've reduced everything into NDC, NPP. And the moment we do that, we cannot help the motherland Ghana grow. And so that is a challenge. Until we are able to take a non-aligned position and objectively handle some of these issues, we cannot arrive at any solution. So for the 6 million that we've spent, I'm sorry. I have had a copy, others too have copies, and I'm sure people have copies and they've not even read the first page. It is just
that is about some thousands. Is it almost 1,000 pages? You know?
Yes, it is more than that actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is a challenge.
You say non-aligned of Ghanaians. That's the country, that's what we are anyway. You know, we are non-aligned. we don't belong to anywhere. So that's how the people have been.
Right. All right. So my big brother, Derek, is he Ohini or Ohimeng?
Ohimeng
Mensah.
Yes. Ohimeng.
Thank you so much for all the time you spent with us today. It's not every. I mean, as a teacher and as a lawyer, I know you are a busy man. So giving us almost 2 hours of your time today, it's something monumental. We appreciate it, and all the teaching actually. It's really needed, and I'm sure my audience and everybody watching us would join me in saying a big thank to you and would appreciate everything you did for us today. We really, really, really are grateful for all the good information you had shared with us today. Kakape, any last words for my big brother before he leaves?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the education. Sometimes we'll take your number from our big brother here and contact you on some legal issues and some stuff like that. But one thing that we would say is that for those of you that are up there at the higher level, you may be privy to some of these decision makers. We try to do it on the political front and stuff like that, and I always want to like to debate issues without politics and order, but unfortunately sometimes you are caught up in it, and that is what you do. So when you get the opportunity to sit with these people at the high table, either at conferences or when they come to the school, or for some reason during admissions, you have in touch with them, let us try to out there chip in some of these reforms, and gradually, I mean, some of these things will help. It is a slow pace. We have a system that is very conservative because somebody is benefiting from the rot and from the underdevelopment and from all these things that is going on. One of it is we speak against it, but for those of you that are out there, you know, the little thing that you're going to put out there is going to help. Thank you very much for coming, and we've done a lot from you. God bless you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have also really enjoyed it, especially the first one, the CDD and the Afrobarometer presentation and so on. It was very insightful, and thanks so much. And you are doing a very great job, Mr. Host. Please keep it up, and I'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We really appreciate it. All right, guys, that has been my big brother and lawyer, Derek Ohimeng Mensah. Very brilliant, and we are grateful for all the things he shared with us today. So back to the two politicals. So guys, I mean, today has been great. We've done a lot of, I think, positive engagement with our audience today. Anything you want to add, you know, briefly, from what you've heard from the two presentations, especially the one of my CDD brother, Mausi Dumenu, and also from Derek. Let's start with Kojo. Kojo, any conclusions or
on this?
Lessons or things that you've learned that you want to discuss or add to what you've heard so far?
I think it has been a wonderful show today, and for the education, both the CDD and Lawyer Hene himself coming in there. But this is what we as people are lacking. You see, the political system that we're running back home is skewed towards family, friends, and cronies of our own. So, for instance, the Ghana Parliament is in recession right now. As we do here in America, most of the time there will be town hall meetings. And then people in the constituency or in your area will go and ask questions. But what do you see? Like you said, most of them have traveled outside the country,
in the US,
enjoying and chilling with us without educating the people. And the reason is just simple. If you educate the people, they will know they are left and right. So what they're doing is, let's put these people in darkness. They only educate the very few friends that they know. So even when the government passes a law and they say, oh, there's going to be a construction of 500 classroom blocks in the Volta region, instead of the MP in the Volta region or in the Ashanti region or the Eastern region, educating the populace. There might be a contractor in that area, has no knowledge about government contracts going on. Instead of the MPs doing that, they don't. But instead, what do? They go to their friends, their family members, educate them and give them the ways of how to make this contract. And it becomes a very small people enjoying, while the people who voted them into power are not seeing anything. So it comes back to education. We should all be ready to educate the populace and say, hey, this is how it works. This people works for you. And in quote unquote, it seems these MPs, presidents, ministers, instead of them being the servants, we are the boss. If it turns becomes the vice versa. They become the kings and we become the servants. Meanwhile, we put them there. Until those things are changed and our decisions are from the bottom up, not the top to bottom, I think this is how things are going to be. But we need education, and we should stop politicizing everything that we see. Anything, oh, it's NPP, NDC. It's about time. If we really want to change the trajectory of Ghana, then it boils down to education, of educating the people knowing they are right and know that these people that we have elected to lead, we give them our power to them to just stand it, because all of us wouldn't be able to do that. Until they realize that they work for us, there's nothing what we can do. That is, the citizens have to be not spectators, but contributors of development and then issues in the country. Thank you.
So education, we definitely need, and that's what we've done with the show today. Akape, do you want to add a thing or two to all the good things you've heard today, or comments, or anything that you still have lingering in your mind that you would like to share before we bring the show to an end?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First, I will start with the two resource person that you have today. Very professional, well knowledgeable in their area of studies or expertise and stuff like that. And I think once in a while, you want to enrich Ghana agenda with some of these specialized areas devoid of politics, so that we look at it objectively and stuff like that. So to all of them, just as I'm just going to repeat what I said, that building a nation has a different, it is like the parts of the body. The mouth has what it does, the leg has what it does, the hand has the nose, breathe, the brain to function. All of them have the work together in unison. And the other part is education, research, and to give these feedback to government, to agencies, so that we can make reforms and all that. I think there should be a way to make sure that there is implementation and that we are correcting the things that we think are not working, are not functioning in the country. We have a lot to do as a people, and everybody have their role to play in making sure that is done. That is one observation that I've seen today. The second part is that is about Ghana agenda. I think sometimes we have to deviate from a strong MPP, a strong NDC section. You want to engage just people that are going to come here and be professional. It does not necessarily have to be. I mean, when you want me to be just absolutely go about it, I'll go about it just without mentioning in a way that nobody will even think I am NPP or that. That is very important for this. And then we will shift to the part where, you know, it's a campaign, it's a highly political platform. So that you come there as NDC, NPP to fix
We do a mix of both, right?
Exactly. I've seen that mix and stuff like that. So that is very important. My third point is that, you know, you keep improving upon this program, and, you know, kudos to you, kudos to our listeners and our viewers out there and all that. And it's a plus to you. I know for a fact that you put a lot of effort in there. You know, the information you share on our platform and all that, the amount of time you spend reading and, you know, pinpointing to this part, not just looking at headlines, but reading in depth. And that is a great accolade for you as a host, as somebody that, you know, we may have our own biases, but I really enjoy the professionalism you put into this, the questions you ask, the straightening up and all that. Ghana agenda is gradually becoming a show to watch, and let us all help make it one of the best out there, if not the best out there. Thank you very much, Alfred. God grant you the wisdom, God grant you the strength, and God grant Apple Radio what it takes to put together always a great program for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, big brother.
Thank you, Amazon. Before you come in, just to invite my boss himself. Next week will be the end of summer picnic for the Washington D.C. MPP chapter. We are organizing it. Her Excellency, the ambassador, will be there. We'll have our chairperson, which is Obaya, the MPP chairperson and then we'll have the CEO of the State Housing Corporation as well will be available to answer questions. People who are who like to buy houses in Ghana, that will be, and then we'll have the consulate services at the event, where they will be able to do services like if you have passport, you have applied for your passport, and you've not done your fingerprint, you can bring your receipts. That's where you come there. We'll do all the fingerprints that we like. The Kakape you guys did. So I'm just inviting everybody, if you are in town, October 1st, at the Joseph Henry's Park, which is in Alexandria, Virginia. You can pass by, start from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. and we are all invited. This is a what do you call it? A membership drive for the MPP, but we're adding all these bonuses so people can come there and ask questions. And like Kakape already said, we appreciate you with your professionalism and everything that you do. And God bless you, and do this every day.
Thank you so much. By the way, do you have an address to the park?
Yes, I do have the address to the park that I can give you. If you give me like 30 seconds, I don't know why I'm always not having this thing. I've done a couple of, when I was hosting the shows, I've done a couple of them, but it's always kind of lost me. I know it's Joseph Henry, it's Eisenhower, but I have to just give you the exact address. So the address is 4200 Eisenhower Avenue, Alexandria, Virginia, and the zip code is 22303. And mostly we call it Joseph Hensley Park. So if you send in Alexandria, it will just bring you right there. It's a big place, but that's where we are going to have it. There's going to be food, there's going to be drinks, and we're going to have some Marys over there. So if you, in case you guys, anybody who's listening to pass by in the Washington, D.C. area, you can come meet Ghanaians and friends, and not just the MPP. We invited the NDC as well. I'm about to run away to the NDC is also having a picnic today, so I'm just about to run fast and go there and just join them to celebrate it.
All right, thank you so much for that good information. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard him. If you really need, anything from the embassy, from passport, visa standpoint, perhaps the best way to do that is join them on October 1st. Enjoy some grilled chicken, at the same time get your visa and passports taken care of. We really appreciate you and your team for organizing that, and also the camaraderie with you going to enjoy with your NDC brothers today. It's something we should all inculcate in our lives, so that though we are NDC NPP, we are still Ghanaians to start with, and we should continue to live together in harmony. Thank you so much, guys. This has been good. I enjoyed the show today, and I'm sure everyone watching will testify to the same.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply?